Thank you so much, Tyler, for being on this episode of Peters Net. Feel free to like and subscribe if you like what you see. And now to the video. Hi guys, welcome to Peters Net. This is Tyler. How do I pronounce your last name? I'm so sorry.
Seidenberg.
Seidenberg. Thank you so much for being with us.
No problem.
So the first question for tonight is, what is your favorite Catholic band?
Oh, my favorite Catholic band. So do they have, like, by band, it can't be a rap group?
A rap group could also be like any musician.
Okay, because there's some Catholic rappers that I like. You know what? I guess my favorite, probably my favorite all-around Catholic artist would be Matt Maher. And then, like his song "Run to the Father" is very significant to me. Are you familiar with that song?
I haven't heard it.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so profound. It's so beautiful. I really like his rendition. I think he wrote it with another songwriter, and that songwriter also has his own version of the song, but I prefer Matt Maher's. And the name of the other artist isn't coming to me, but Matt Maher I really like. And there's a rapper named John Levi. Have you heard of John Levi before?
Honestly, I'm pretty new to Catholic music, so.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why he stands out is because is because he actually reached out to me. He's based out of Tampa, and he had seen some of the Catholic raps that I'd written over the years as a teacher. And him and another guy named DJ Carney, who's a huge like Catholic hip hop head and just music lover, and they both reached out to me through Facebook Messenger. Actually, they found me, and then we got to talking, and so I know them personally as well, and love their heart. So I think they would be on the list. And then, do you guys know Kathleen and Jesse LeBlanc?
The last name sounds familiar.
Okay,
no, I don't have
because they have a group. They used to be called A Guy and a Girl, and now they're called We Are Found. So sorry, is my answer too long? Did you just want like
no? It's more than adequate. Thank you so much.
Okay. And there's a Catholic rap group called Found Nation. So if you like rap, you might like them. And if you're looking for Catholic hip hop, which can be hard to find, but you might like some of my stuff too. Like I have a number of Catholic raps on my YouTube channel, which is called Mr. S, because when I was teaching in the Catholic school board, I wasn't going to have Tyler, right? So, and Seidenberg is hard to pronounce and also hard to spell. So I made it Mr. S. But when I started rapping more about Catholicism for religion class, I made the YouTube channel Mr. S, the Catechist. And so now I've got music up on Spotify and whatnot. So you might be interested in that too, or people might be interested in that.
Mm-hmm. We'll definitely have links to your channel in the description if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mateo, any thoughts?
What's your favorite non-Catholic band? Like, what kind of music do you listen to, like on the regular?
I listen to many different styles. Rap is definitely up there. Rap is one of my favorite styles for sure. Which was why my immediate question was like, does rap count as a band? Because usually when people say band, they're thinking like a rock band or something, right? Oh man, it's to just say who's your favorite band. Like that's basically impossible to answer because it depends on the genre. It depends on my mood. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. On the time period, like it that's almost like saying what's your favorite food. I don't think doesn't it kind of depend what you're in the mood for?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I can give you a lot so you want non-Christian artists?
I mean, yeah, like what do you usually listen to?
Okay, well, I'll just be honest, man. At least growing up, one of my favorite artists ever was R. Kelly. Now, I am not promoting a lot of what he writes about, and I'm not saying he's someone to look up to or has like an admirable, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, songwriting wise, singing wise, beat production wise, and this is the R&B world. He was incredibly significant, and his music really resonated with me. So he was a huge influence for me. Again, I'm not saying, you should go out and listen to R. Kelly, but growing up, man, he was one of my favorite artists for sure.
That's really cool.
And then I really liked A Tribe Called Quest. That was like my favorite rap group growing up as well. Their beat production was crazy. The chemistry that they had. I loved Q-Tip's voice. Yeah, it was basically like rap and R&B. That was really what I would listen to.
Can we move on to the next question?
Yep.
Do you have a favorite saint?
That's also hard. Oh man, that's hard. Oh man, why are you guys able to answer these easily? Like favorite saint, Saint Padre Pio. Like you just kind of, because they're all great, aren't they? Okay, I would say, because I didn't grow up Catholic. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, Mother Mary, obviously, right? Like obviously, how could you not say Mother Mary? Hugely significant for me because I didn't grow up Catholic, and so she was a real obstacle for me coming into the faith. But then when I tried out asking her to pray, it made a huge difference in my life. So that was a game changer. Saint Joseph more recently, because it's the year of Saint Joseph. And this could take an hour just to tell the story, but I'll make it as quick as I can without, I'm really not going to give any detail, but I'll just say a lot of miracles happened this year. Just unbelievable how God provided. And I really attribute that to my devotion to Saint Joseph, which I had started prior to the year. And then I just thought it was cool that it was the year of Saint Joseph. I'm like, wow, look how God works. Like I already started that, I guess it hit me like, whoa, Saint Joseph is this really underrated saint. He's like Mother Mary's husband. He's the foster father of Jesus. Like he's the patron saint of the universal church. Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of people don't even think about him, including myself. And I was like, shoot, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I should go to him. So I started asking him to pray. And I was really simple. I haven't done like a consecration or anything, like I did do the, have you guys read that? What's it called? The 33 Days to Morning Glory. The book by, oh my goodness. I'm forgetting names. Sorry, I just put my kids to bed. And
no worries.
Yeah, and I got to get a haircut. Like with this lockdown, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Saint Joseph, and then I would say Saint Peter was my confirmation saint. He always stood out to me. I always liked how he was sort of shoot from the hip, like he was rough around the edges. He would make mistakes, but he had a good heart. And I really resonated with that because I felt like that was me, that I would more ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you should live that way, but growing up, I was like, hey, St. Peter, he's not perfect. Well, and yeah, he resonated with me. I like St. Faustina as well.
Yeah.
The Divine Mercy Chaplet is very important to me.
Yeah, my confirmation saint as well was St. Peter.
Oh, nice.
That's why I named it after him.
Awesome. And why did you pick him? What made you pick him?
I felt like he always had a special bond with Jesus. So like I really admired that bond between Jesus and Peter, like that friendship.
Right.
And his
like feed my sheep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And his strength throughout like all his life, though he messed up and he admitted he messed up and he fixed his mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, like he denied Jesus 3 times. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it brings us a lot of hope because it's like, shoot, man, like he denied Jesus 3 times. And the difference with him and Judas is that he was sorry about it. Like he repented. And I mean, I guess it is different from betrayal. It's not like he turned Jesus over, but at the same time, it's still like a really big deal. And yet he was forgiven and he repented. So.
Are you thinking of doing the 33-day consecration to Saint Joseph?
Yeah, I have thought about it. But I guess I'm not scrupulous about it. I actually dealt with scruples for a couple years, which I don't wish upon anybody. But I'm thinking that God allowed it because I learned a lot through it. But I may right now I would say it's just I'm just keeping it simple. You know what I mean? Because I think the temptation for me was like, oh, I got to get consecrated here. Oh, got to get consecrated here. Oh, got to do this. Oh, I don't wear the brown scapular. Maybe I should do that too. You know what I mean? And it can start becoming obsessive. And so because I can fall into that trap right now, do you know what I mean? It's more like, look, at the end of the day, all these things are meant to help you grow in your love for Jesus. And if they're not doing that, then it's actually becoming like, it's not good. It's counterintuitive.
Yep.
So that's why I am just taking my time with it and getting spiritual direction. And so obviously, I asked St. Joseph to pray. But so I guess my quick answer is no, I have not yet. But I think it's a great idea. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
How many instruments can you play? Because I see a lot of instruments.
Oh, but those are all the same instrument. It's this one. Well, if I were to have lessons in person, which I'm not doing right now, because my main source of income is teaching piano and music theory online. This is my main keyboard that I would use. I also use it as a MIDI controller for recording. That would be for students. And that little one in the corner is like a little kid keyboard. It's got a built-in mic and headphones. That's for like my daughter to kind of horse around on. I play piano, I play drums, I sing.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
How did you become Catholic? I know that you already touched upon this a little bit, but I remember that you mentioned that you were brought up Catholic, but how did you get into Catholicism?
Well, it was a long process. I guess I should say what I grew up first. I grew up Pentecostal, which is a denomination within Protestantism, which they really emphasize the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which is a good thing, a very good thing. So I learned a lot of great things growing up Pentecostal, but when I became around 17, I was just questioning Christianity in general. I think everybody, like any thoughtful Christian, is going to go through that at some point. And a lot of times I do think it's around that age, right? Where it's like, okay, I believe this because my parents dragged me here and because that's all I ever knew. And now it's like, well, now I'm starting to think for myself. And if this is, basically I was like, if this is true, then it's really important, and I'm going to be 100% sold out. If it's not true, I'm not going to bother. And so then I was kind of on a quest for what's the truth. And at that time, Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris and all those guys were really popular. And so I was seeing their YouTube videos and reading some of their books. And I believe by God's grace, I also was hearing good Christian responses, mainly from Dr. William Lane Craig at the time, who's a really very smart man. And he's an evangelical philosopher and theologian. And he had great responses and answers. I also had read C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity at that point, which really was significant for me. And so I started to see that, you know what, there are people who thought Christianity through, and they have great responses to some of these like smoking gun questions. And And so I started to see that there was a philosophical tradition, that it was a reasonable faith, that it wasn't just like, oh, I hope there's some sky daddy, you know, that it's like, no. This is thought through. This isn't just some wishful thinking. So that was very helpful, but not only was there the philosophical side or the debates, there was also like the personal, well, I'm just going to reach out to God and see what happens. Like, get serious about it. So I'd wake up early, go for a walk, and just kind of pray and be like, God, if you're there, can you show me? Like, can you reveal yourself to me? You know what I mean? And I was also reading the Bible because growing up Protestant, although it shouldn't just be growing up Protestant, hopefully growing up Catholic, you know, you believe that the Bible is the word of God, right? So reading the Bible, that God is going to speak through that. So I was also looking for God in scripture, and I was reading the book of James, I believe. I can't remember the chapter, but it said, he who lacks wisdom should pray and ask God, but should not doubt, because that would be like a man looking into a mirror, and then when he walks away, he immediately forgets what he looks like. And I was like, well, I lack wisdom. And I was like, wow, look, it looks like there's a promise. If I pray for wisdom, God's going to give it to me. So I was like, that's great. So I remember I was in my room and I prayed, and I thought God would like open my head and dump wisdom in immediately, like a genie in the sky. And that's not usually how God works. Most of the time, that's not it. But as I was making that a prayer and I was sincere about it, I do remember a change happened in me, where all of a sudden I had a desire to read. And that was really a miracle, because anyone who knew me prior to that knew I hated reading. I just was not a reader. That was the last thing I wanted to do. And now you might be wondering, well, you were reading the book of James. It's like, okay, I could read short little excerpts. It's not like I was allergic to it, but I'm not going to sit down and read a novel, right? But now all of a sudden I was like buying books and reading books and really reading the Bible for extended periods of time. And I was like, what's happening to me? You know, like, this is not me, but it is me. And then I started realizing like, oh, this must be a grace. Like, is that how grace works? It's like something that's not me, and yet God's put it in me. And now like I cooperate with it. And it's this weird sort of like, I could say no, but I don't want to say no. And like, anyway, I was like experiencing in a real way God giving me this grace. And then I realized, oh, he's not just giving me wisdom, like, here's wisdom. He's giving me the grace to grow in wisdom because I'm reading, you know, like really good stuff. And he's also putting these books, you know, in my path through in various ways. And so he's giving me the tool to grow in wisdom. And I thought that was really cool. And eventually my reading led me into Catholicism. I mean, that's a really quick, but I would say it was intellectual first, right? Like my head and then my heart. So, and there's a lot more I could say, but is that good enough? Or
yeah, that's really cool and a really good answer. Thank you so much. My next question. Oh, sorry, Mateo.
If you don't mind, what was one book that like impacted you?
Oh, in which way?
Like spiritually, like what book opened like doors for your life? Like some people say it's
like besides the Bible?
Yeah, besides the Bible, yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say number one would be Scripture, and I would in Scripture, like the Book of James was extremely significant to me, and the Gospels. I think the Gospel of Matthew, the Gospel of Luke, and then Pauline epistles as well. So basically the New Testament. But man, well, Mere Christianity, like I said, that was a game changer for me. That was very significant. Wow, like, okay, hold on. Let me see. I mean, the Catechism's a book. Does that count?
Yeah.
I mean, or like there's some other ones. Like I read a lot of Scott Hahn stuff. I read like I bought some Jimmy Akin books. I'm trying to go through now. I bought like Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma by Ludwig Ott, but that's more of like a reference book. But I found that helpful. Yeah, see, I guess did you mean like apologetics wise, or do you mean like more of a devotional? Like there's this one book called, I think it's called Making Time with God. It's a very short book. I believe is written by a legionary priest. And that book's amazing. Very short. So do you mean like sort of more like a devotional, like prayer book, or more like information, history, like apologetics?
Like a diary or something written by like a saint. Like
Well, I had read some of I believe it's called The Introduction to a Devout Life by Saint Francis de Sales. I'd read some of that. I never actually made it all the way through. But I read quite a bit of it, and that stood out to me. I read quite a bit of the Diary of Saint Faustina, and that at a certain point in my life was extremely significant. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of. I really liked Edward Fazer's books, but those are more like philosophy books.
Could you explain why the Diary of Saint Faustina was like influential to you? Like why during that period?
I needed to hear about mercy, and I'd say that's the book to go to. And also, it just really resonated with what I was going through. When I would read her stuff, I was like, yeah, this makes sense to me. And although I had to stop reading it because, see, part of my problem with Scruples was I was trying to fix it by reading. And reading is good, but it's not the be-all, end-all. And so I think what was happening was reading had been good for me, and your intellect matters. But if all your relationship with God is reading more information, then it's very lacking. That's why prayer is important. The sacraments are important, like serving. You know, it can't just be, oh, let me feed my brain. I want more information. Oh, wow, isn't that a cool connection? And so we can kind of get caught up with, we almost like theology more than we like God, you know? So I think I had to be purged of that. And so God allowed Satan to really have a heyday with Scruples for me. And that made me stop reading. My spiritual director said, you have to fast from reading. You can't read anymore. Which was quite hard. Because I was like, what? That seemed counterintuitive. It was like, but I thought reading was good. I thought, you know, reading holy books by saints is like a really good thing to do. He's like, yeah, it is a good thing to do. But for you, it's not right now. He's like, and he also said, like, I think you've read enough for like you got to focus on other things for right now. Like, he's like, just keep it simple. And I'm so glad he told me that. Can I say his name? Who am I?
Yeah, it's going to go on YouTube, but if you feel comfortable by saying it.
Well, I think he would be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great holy priest. His name's Father Pierre. He's a legionary priest, and based in Oakville, and he's a wonderful man, and I'm very thankful for him. Yeah. So shout out to Father Pierre.
So I guess you're part of RC.
Not officially. I'm not a member of Regnum Christi. I'm very involved, like my wife is. But I'm a free agent Catholic.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's how I've termed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like are you guys RC?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we both are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think it's also something that I'll discern. But no, I'm not yet. I'm not like officially a member of any order.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact for you. I'm pretty sure a few months ago we had Father Pierre on the podcast.
Sweet. There you go. Isn't he a great guy?
Yeah, an amazing person.
Yep.
Okay, my next question is, what religious projects are you working on?
Sorry, you kind of cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry, my bad. What religious projects are you working on?
There's two. I have two YouTube channels. One is called Catholic Songs for Kids, and it's basically what the name is. I write music that's geared for children, and because I have 5 kids of my own, and the way it started was back in 2020, January 2020, so pre-COVID, all that stuff. I was going, you know what? Let's teach our kids, a memory verse, a simple memory verse each week. And as a musician, I was like, hey, I'll just write a little tune and then we can sing it and that'll help them memorize it. Because I grew up memorizing scripture by song. And I thought, hey, I'll just custom make my own for my own kids. And so we did like a little school project. And I was like, you know what they probably love? Let's go into the studio, just the house studio. Let's get them picking a little instrument. We'll make a track. I'll record them singing, and then we'll have a memory of it. And I just sort of saw it like as a fun, creative, music / religion / daddy-daughter time homeschooling project. And they liked it, and I liked it. And then we had this decent track recorded. And I was like, wait a minute. And I do believe it was the Holy Spirit. And also my wife, because I think one time I told the story on a podcast, and she said like, something to the extent of like, you didn't really include me in the story. I kind of told you to do that. And I was like, so I better give her credit. Where she said that it would be a good idea to record, to put it up on YouTube so that other families can make use of it. And so I thought, you know what? I put this out pretty quick. It didn't take long. You find a Bible verse, write a tune. I can record it fairly quickly because I've been doing it for a long time. And kids' music, I find easier to produce, right? Just a short little song. So went on to iMovie and just made a quick little lyric video and put that up. And I was doing like one a week for a while. And it started to grow. And, one thing after another, and then I got a website, and then I got more social media going. And now it's, it's got, I think our most viewed video is Children Obey Your Parents, which is a really popular verse with parents. So it doesn't surprise me that that's the number one. I think it's over. Well, I better check before I exaggerate here. I don't want to be, hold on one second here. Where are we at? I don't know. Let's go to Catholic Songs for Kids and videos. Okay, yeah, it's at 5.8, it says. Yeah, so it's got almost views, just that one, and we just went from 30 views, just me and my kids in my basement, to now we almost have 300. Again, I know it for YouTube it's pretty small, but we almost have 300 subscribers, and there's thousands of views now, and eventually I put it up on Spotify and Apple Music, and now it's like TikTok, everything, I don't think anyone's using it on TikTok, but it's like, it's there. Right. So there's that one, and that one I'm very passionate about because it's hitting a lot of boxes for me. Well, the other thing too is when COVID hit, it was like, oh shoot, I can't do youth group stuff anymore. We can't do Friday night adorations anymore. I can't go and speak anymore. You know what I mean? Like we can't do Steubenville anymore. There were so many things that we were involved in. Now you can't do them anymore. And I was like, well, I'm a musician and I have children, and what can I do to still evangelize and to be a blessing to people? And I was like, I can make more high quality Catholic content geared for children, because I do think that it's lacking in the Catholic world. You got Brother Francis, that stuff's really good. We just ordered a bunch. But the stuff that's on Formed is very limited, right? You've got Cat Chat, you've got Brother Francis, but again, you're not going to have their whole thing. You kind of get like 3 or 4 episodes, and then you got to go purchase. And even when you do purchase, you're going to run out of material. Like when you got kids, they could watch all those episodes in like a week, and then they want more. And Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime, they're always pumping out more shows, right? So it's kind of like, oh shoot, and then I'm not going to name any names, but you guys would probably agree that not all Catholic stuff that's meant for kids is that entertaining. You know what I mean? Like some of it can be pretty dated or kind of cringy. And I'm not saying that the intention isn't good. But if my kids aren't going to watch it, I'm not going to force them to watch like a subpar quality, like, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I don't want to make something that's super expensive. Well, because it's free. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to make free stuff that's high quality so that parents can play something for their kids that is, you know, safe, but it's also Catholic and it's actually Catholic, you know? And then also, because I was raised Protestant, I have lots of Protestant family and friends. And I was like, well, what's one way that we can kind of bridge the gap here? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I want them to know I'm Catholic. So I'm going to call it Catholic Songs for Kids. But I'm singing Bible verses. No Protestant is going to be upset about that. Do you know what I mean? But then the other thing I thought was like, you know what? I can pick some verses that a lot of the Protestant ministries would not pick as a kid's song. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain go-to verses that evangelicals will use and they're wonderful verses. But when I've grown in that, so like I know the go-to verses. But there's a lot of verses that I did not know of that I only saw when I was Catholic. I'm like, those are the ones that now I want to make songs for. Like Eucharistic songs. Like, so I have a song, those who eat my flesh and drink my blood abide in me and I in them. John 6:56. That's all it is, just over and over again. Well, that's straight out of the Bible. Do you know what I mean? Like those are the words of Jesus. So yeah, I mean, it might be controversial, but I remember my mom called me up and she said, oh, Tyler, like, are you sure like that should be a kid's song? It's kind of graphic, you know? I was like, I know, but I said, but for Catholics, it's normal. It's the Eucharist. You know, it's like, and those are the words of Jesus. It's really, really important. She's like, because it sounds so like those who eat my flesh and drink my blood. She's like, to make that a lullaby, and I get what she's saying. Like for a non-Christian to hear a kid's song, like those who eat my flesh, they're like, what's this weird cannibal, you know, creepy kid song? But what was great is it opened up like a 40-minute conversation about the Eucharist with my mom. You know, and it made her think, like, when you hear that song, say that verse over and over again and get stuck in your head, it makes you go, what did Jesus mean when he said that? Because yeah, it does sound kind of creepy. And if you read the chapter, they all had a problem with it too. And most of them left. So that's why I thought, you know what, and then I have a Mama Mary song, right? From Luke, her Fiat, right? And anyway, sorry if I think I'm going off on a tangent, aren't I?
No, but it's very interesting. I really like the way you speak. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Well, so there's that, and then there's my rap channel, Mr. S. the Catechist. For those who don't know, a catechist is someone who teaches Christian doctrine. And so that's more like, well, I came from an education background. And yeah, so there I'm like, I've got a rap about the sacraments where I go through what are the sacraments, how many are there, like how do we understand it, all of that stuff. So there's 3 verses, and then underneath the videos, like on my YouTube channel, I'll have, you know, links to other speakers. So like Father Mike Schmitz or Bishop Barron or whatever, right? Whatever the best videos I can find for any given sacrament. So that if teachers are using the video, then there's other resources that they can find. And like on Spotify and Apple Music, I've got 4 singles. One's about the creed, or about the creeds, I should say, like Apostles' Creed and Nicene Creed. And I have another rap about basically the Catholic view of justification. So it's called James 2. Because in James 2, that's where it's faith without deeds is dead. And how Catholics don't believe that we earn our way, right? It's not like, oh, if I'm good enough, obviously it's God's grace, but my faith must take action, right? Faith working through love. It must be a formed faith, right? I can't just say I believe and then, like I got to do something. And that's obviously cooperating with God's grace. So there's a rap about that. And actually, like, what's really good is I've had people reach out to me because of those raps, because of those videos, right? Like I've rapped at high schools, and I remember one student said to me, he's like, if this is Catholicism, I want to be Catholic, stuff like that. So that's why I keep doing it, because, or even, much older adults as well. It doesn't have to be teenagers. I found male, female, old, young, people respond to it. Or I've even had people say, like, I don't really like rap, but I like your rap. And I think it's because the way it's mixed, my voice is a bit more forward, and you can hear everything I'm saying. It's definitely not mumble rap, and it's teaching something. And I guess I'm forgetting what the other one's about. Actually, yeah. The other one's called Seeking the Truth. And that one was based off of a conversation that I'd had with a class. I think it was at Holy Trinity in Oakville. And it was basically, it's against relativism. It's like, look, there are certain claims, if they're true, that really matters. And basically I was saying, when it comes to Jesus, basically the C.S. Lewis argument, he's either a liar, a lunatic, or Lord. So, and I'm also saying, like, look, I'm not telling you what to believe, but if Jesus said this and it's true, then it really matters. And if it's false, then like, that really matters too. But what you don't want to do is just sleep on this stuff. So it's like a call to seek the truth, like if anything is worth investing time in, it's the claims of Jesus and the church, because it's your eternal salvation. Right. And so you at least want to know why you're rejecting it. Like, you better have good reasons for rejecting it. But if you're like, I just don't have time, or maybe it's true. It's like, well, maybe it's true. Like, what are you doing, man? You can have friendship with God. You're going to sleep on that. He made everything. He made you. He's got a purpose for you. And you're like, I don't know. I got 8 hours of TikTok to watch every day. I think it's more important. It's like, oh, well, all right. Anyway.
What are your suggestions? Sorry, you can go, Mateo. Sorry, my bad.
All right. Sorry about that. What was your experience with your conversion? Like, how was it when you had to tell people, like, you were thinking of converting to Catholicism? Like, yeah, like your family, your friends, like, how was it with that?
It was good overall. My family was very understanding. I mean, they even came. They came to the Easter Vigil. My mom was actually in tears. She was very moved. My mom was concerned, but understandably so. It's not like she disowned me. She's like, oh no, you're becoming one of those Catholics. You know what I mean? It was more, Tyler, why? Like, so we would go on walks and we would have talks, and, one by one, we would go through the issues. So I would say my mom was extremely loving in her approach and genuinely concerned for me, which makes total sense. As I think anyone would be, right? If you don't grow up Catholic and you have intellectual disagreement, but a lot of that is because of hearsay, because you grew up with an anti-Catholic bias, right? So, but as I would talk to her, she was going, okay, that actually makes some sense. And you could tell, like, she was thinking about it. And then after a while, she's like, Tyler, I'm not concerned anymore. And she said, because all I see is that you love Jesus more and you're nicer to me. So she's like, I see fruit in your life. So if there's fruit, then it must be good. That's sort of how she discerned it, which is very wise. You know what I mean? It's like, she's going, I don't get it all. And she's like, I don't feel called to be Catholic, but I see that there's evidence of God at work in your life, and you only seem to be becoming holier. So she's going, if this is where God wants you to be, I don't have an issue anymore. And I think similar thing with my dad. I didn't talk as much with my dad. I don't think he ever had a problem. He was kind of like, I don't even think my dad had much of a Catholic bias, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone was kind of different. I talked with my brother a bit. My mom would be the person I talked to the most. I don't think any of maybe some of my friends were concerned. There was one sort of family friend who was really concerned. I would say he was probably the most like opposed to Catholicism. And we would email back and forth and talk on the phone. And eventually it ended though. And he said similar thing to me. I guess he sort of said like, Tyler, you've really made me think. And he's like, but I'm not concerned for you anymore. It's sort of something like that. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
What are your suggestions for people starting their own Catholic projects?
That you use your talents, your God-given talents, and that you make sure that your intentions are pure. Those would be, and I would also pray, like always offer it up to God in prayer. Like for instance, with mine, all of a sudden I could become more concerned with how many subscribers do I have? How many views do I have? Get caught up with the analytics and the marketing. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden like, ooh, it's getting bigger and all this. And it's like, wait. Now I'm losing the whole focus. Like, what is this about? So it's always reminding yourself of why am I doing what I'm doing? Right? I'm obviously not doing it for money. Right? But not that it's bad if you make money from, if your project does blow up and God blesses it in that way, fine. You know what I mean? Like if I could make a living writing Catholic kids songs, that would be wonderful. Do you know what I mean? I'm not opposed to that. But what I wouldn't do is like change its purpose or have it lose like the purity of its intention because like I'm selling out or I'm watering it down so I can get a publishing deal or whatever. Right? This isn't for money. This isn't for fame. This isn't so that I look better. You know what I mean? So I can go around and tell people, oh, I write or whatever. You know what I mean? And those temptations can come. Or comparing yourselves to other ministries or whatever. You know what I mean? All that stuff is very real. I'm doing this for God. I'm doing this to bless other people, and God, have your way with it. But also it's got to be in line with your talents. Like I'm doing this because I know how to write music. This is what I do make music for a living. And so I think sometimes people really like they're passionate about something or they like something. So they're like, hey, I'm going to start this up. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, but are you gifted in that area? Did you feel called by God to do it? Or is this just more your idea? Do you know what I mean? So that's why I would like really discern it. But if someone's really excited and they want to, talk about God in whatever way, it's like that's not a bad thing. Just so pray, make sure the intentions are right. And hopefully it's in line with your God-given gifts and situation.
Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any social media where we can follow you or subscribe or help you out?
There's Catholic Songs for Kids. That's a YouTube channel. And then there's also like the same Catholic Songs for Kids, Spotify, Amazon, whatever platform, right? It's going to be there. And it's like a little, well, at least on Spotify and YouTube, it's a little circle, like a blue circle with Jesus in the middle and kids around. That's sort of the logo. There's CatholicSongsForKids.org, like the website, and then everything's there. And then the Instagram, Facebook would be, again, be Catholic Songs for Kids, right? Mr. S, the Catechist, that has an Instagram, that has a Facebook, that had the YouTube channel is the main place to go to though. And then, the links to, the raps on Spotify and Apple Music and all that will be there. Now, for Mr. S. the Catechist, it's Mr. S. the Catechist. Because if there were no dots, then it would look like Mrs. the Catechist. And that would be confusing. So, yeah, that's it as far as, like, those are my two channels currently. I am planning on making another channel, but it's not necessarily Catholic. It's actually for music theory, because I teach so much music theory. I thought, you know what? Why don't I just make a YouTube channel where I'm sitting where I am right now, and I'm talking about the C major scale, and it's a quick little video, and I just do a bunch of those, and haven't got to it yet.
Any do you have any recommendations for viewers or just people in general, like, to stay positive and strengthen their relationship with Christ during this time? Like, what do you have that people can do?
Which Catholic content to watch?
Not exactly. Like, what kind of prayers or like what kind of activities can people do to stay positive, you know?
Well, it depends on the person, you know. There's no one size fits all. I mean, I personally like the Divine Mercy Chaplet, but someone else might want to pray the Rosary. Someone else might do the Jesus Prayer. Like, as long as you're praying, I would say pray. Definitely pray every day. Find some quiet time to pray. Read the gospel reading. Maybe have, you know, that app, Living with Christ is great because you get the saint quote, you get the readings. So I would say you want prayer time, even if all you can do is like 5 minutes, you know what I mean? What I try to do as soon as I wake up is pray a quick prayer. Like, one of my go-tos is I thank God for the day. And I say, God, I offer up this day to you. Please have your way. And then that way, the whole day is already lifted up to him. I've already acknowledged, like, this day is yours, God. This isn't about me. One of my favorite prayers is, Jesus, I trust in you. Just praying that all throughout the day, because it's so easy to say and it's so profound and it can mean so many things. You know what I mean? Like, if you're driving and you're, I don't know, and just, Jesus, I trust in you. Or let's say you're frustrated. Someone's bugging you and you're just like, Jesus, I trust in you. You know what I mean? So that's a wonderful prayer. To stay positive, I would go outside, ride a bike, go for a walk. You know what I mean? And also, don't live in fear. God does not want you to live in fear. Like, the media, seems like the media wants us to live in fear. I'm not saying that, you know, there aren't diseases out there or there aren't risks when you go outside. Of course. But to constantly live in anxiety and fear is not of God. You know, what like the Holy Spirit, like, when discerning, is this of God or is this of not? If there is not a peace, like if there's just this anxiety and this, you know what I mean, then that is not of God. So to constantly be crippled with fear is what a lot of people seem to be. And a lot of people, at least from what I'm seeing, like based off of videos and different news sources, I believe it's something like suicide rates are like triple because of the lockdowns, right? That people are stuck in their homes. And depending on, like, let's say you're a single mother with children and you live in an apartment and you're locked up in your own house. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's going to have you're going to go crazy, you know? So it's hard on so many people. And, oh man, I couldn't imagine without Christ, having a friendship with Christ to keep you grounded and to give you hope, to know that he's in control. Like, he's allowing this and I don't know why, but he's in control and we can trust him. And to know that the earth isn't all that there is. You know what I mean? It's like, at the end of the day, I'm living for Christ's kingdom and for heaven. I'm living for the new heaven and the new earth. Not for this, you know? So, go outside, pray. I mean, if you have family around you, hang out with them, you know, because there's 9 of us in this house. So we're not lonely. You know what I mean? Like, we have each other, so we're going to hang out. Also, I would find some kind of outlet. So for instance, I write music. So I can come into this room and write my Catholic songs for kids or write a rap. Like I've always got something that I can do because that's a passion of mine, but it's also like a ministry, right? So if someone takes up, I don't know, some sort of hobby or reading more, maybe it's like, hey, I'm home a lot, so I'm going to read some really good books, or I'm going to listen to some audio, recordings and learn. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know, something like that. And probably don't watch the news because, well, they keep saying the same thing over and over again. Do you know what I mean? It's like we get it, right? We've heard it for how long now? So it's like, we get it. I would listen to something different, something that's not just going to bring you down. Because if you just keep listening to that, it's like this obsessive, endless loop of bad news. And we're not wired for that. You know what I mean? Like think about the totality of human history. Was there a 24-hour news cycle, for most of human history? No. So it's like if there were problems, you only knew the problems that were happening in your local area, and then you go home and because you got your own problems to deal with, but you can close the door and just focus. But now we're always plugged into the whole world. It's like you aren't supposed to bear the weight of that. And there is nothing you can do about that on that scale, except pray. All you're supposed to do is focus on your own, tend your own garden. Actually, I really like Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you guys ever watched Jordan Peterson, but Bishop Barron and Jordan Peterson just had a recent dialogue. I want to watch the whole thing. But he has something like, before you go out and save the world, why don't you clean your room? And I think that is very profound. It's like, look, before you think that you can go and, fix all these problems going on, it's like, do you even have your room in order? Do you have your life in order? Do you have your family in order? If not, what makes you think you're competent to deal with other people's lives and their problems? And I do think that's a very Christian point of view. It's like, I'm going to work on myself, on my relationship with God. And then once I'm transformed by his love and I've got his grace flowing in me, now I can go and make a change. But again, sometimes it seems very slow or it seems very insignificant. But when it's like, God's got it. God's got people where they want to be. And if he wants to call me to do something bigger, he's going to let me know. But I just need to focus on like I'm a father, I got to take care of my kids. I'm a husband, I got to take care of my wife. You know what I mean? My mother-in-law and sister-in-law live with me. So I love them all. And I have a duty in my different relationships to show them the love of God. And that's going to look different, depending on who they are and what's going on. And so, yeah, I guess I'm rambling now. Sorry.
Thank you for that response. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I think that concludes the PetersNet podcast. Thank you so much, Tyler, for being here today. That was a really good talk. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you very much. It was great to have you. And God bless. Have a great week and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Links
have a good evening.
Links will be in the description for all of Tyler's channels and platforms. Thank you, everyone. Bye.